Affixed to the front of the town hall in the Lithuanian capital of Vilnius, there is a bronze plaque that is prominently displayed. On it, there is a quote from President George W. Bush, taken from a speech he delivered there in 2002. The statement reads, "Anyone who would choose Lithuania as an enemy has also made an enemy of the United States of America." Now, years later, Mr. Bush's statement is being put to the test. While the youth of Lithuania were raised knowing only freedom, recent hostilities are a vivid reminder to older generations of a time when the extent of their freedom was dictated by others. But things are not as they were for the small country 20 years ago. In the years that followed the Cold War, Lithuania and other former Soviet-occupied countries were paired with National Guard units from various states and territories in an effort to strengthen bonds between the United States and its new allies. Due in part to the large number of Lithuanian immigrants residing in the state, a partnership between Pennsylvania National Guard and Lithuania was established. In the 21 years that followed, the Pennsylvania National Guard and the Lithuanian military forged a relationship unrivaled by any other. Since 1992, more than 500 international exchanges have taken place between the Pennsylvania National Guard and Lithuania. These face-to-face meetings have led to huge advancements for both countries in such diverse areas as professional military development, strategic planning, and cyber defense. One such venture is the joint Pennsylvania and Lithuanian Police Operational Mentor and Liaison Teams, also known as POMLETs. Since the global war on terror began, 9 such teams of Pennsylvania and Lithuanian soldiers and airmen have deployed to Afghanistan in order to train Afghan soldiers to defend their fledgling democracy. Though from different cultures and often challenged by language barriers, the two countries forged a bond unique to combat veterans, fighting side by side and defending one another with their very lives.
They're dedicated to the defense of their homeland. They're very concerned because of the size of the opposition, the Russians on their eastern border. Unlike the other times when they've rolled into that country in the early 1800s, after World War II, where they took over and dominated the country. Now this country, this small country, Lithuania, has a partner who has the ability to intervene, as we've shown dramatically here. So I think it will give the Russians pause should they ever even think of trying to invade that country. So I think that's a very good thing.
In 2010, the Pennsylvania National Guard began participating in Exercise Saber Strike, an annual international military exercise conducted on training facilities in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. As the reserve component's only unit equipped with Stryker combat vehicles, the 28th Infantry Division's 56th Stryker Brigade was chosen as Pennsylvania's lead military element, rotating soldiers from battalions within the brigade on a yearly basis. 2014 marks the 5th Saber Strike for the 56th. Troopers from Pennsylvania Stryker Brigade's 104th Cavalry are more than 4,300 miles away, but not for long. Assisted by the West Virginia Air National Guard's 167th Airlift Wing C-5 aircraft, each containing 4 Stryker combat vehicles and their crews, will arrive in the Baltics less than 24 hours after leaving Pennsylvania. As an added bonus, the All-National Guard contingent was able to build the trip into their annual 2-week training plans, negating the need to request additional funding during a time of severe cuts to the military's budget. Not all the training is being conducted in Europe, however. For the first time ever, a platoon of Lithuanian soldiers have been invited to the United States to train at Pennsylvania's Fort Indian Town Gap Training Center. Soldiers from the Lithuanian National Volunteer Defense Forces 5th Territorial Unit have been partnered with the Stryker Brigade's 1st Battalion, 111th Infantry Regiment during their 2 weeks of annual training. Prior to their arrival, staff officers from the 5th Unit spent several months working with their American counterparts to design a program that packs as much training as possible into the unit's 10-day visit.
Basically, my platoon sergeant and I were supposed to facilitate and integrate our soldiers into their platoon and facilitate training for them. There was definitely a little bit of language barrier at first, but we quickly overcame that. Yeah, hand signals. But in reality, we had a couple guys who spoke Russian, and a lot of the Lithuanian guys spoke Russian. So we were able to use that and broken English to get our point across.
Nestled in the mountains of central Pennsylvania, Fort Indiantown Gap is a 33-square-mile military training installation, equipped with state-of-the-art ranges. Among the post's most coveted possessions is the Combined Arms Collective Training Facility, or CACTIF. Created to train soldiers to conduct operations in an urban environment, the Fort Indiantown Gap CACTIF consists of 12 buildings connected by underground tunnels, wired with cameras to give commanders a rare bird's-eye view of their soldiers in action. For the unit's commander, a key component of this training is the ability to learn and practice techniques used while fighting in urban areas, an opportunity not afforded to them with their limited training facilities back home.
This is one of my platoon from one company. I have like 9 companies in my unit, and those guys are now much better than their friends back home, especially due to the training what we got here, and mainly for the fighting in built-up areas training. Just at the moment, for this year, I have mission essential task for my unit, which is right the same like fighting in the built-up area. Therefore, those guys will be used for my unit as instructors, and I will increase my unit capabilities and qualities for this mission essential task.
Once this platoon returns to Lithuania, their job will only be half finished. These soldiers will then train other soldiers on the tactics, techniques, and procedures taught by the Americans. While Lithuanian soldiers at Fort Indiantown Gap learn new and innovative tactics on foreign soil, back home, Lithuanians train Pennsylvania Guardsmen on more familiar territory as exercise Saber Strike is underway. Underlying the fact that large numbers of US and NATO soldiers are on the ground in former Soviet-occupied territory is how quickly they got there. For both the Pennsylvania Guard and its Lithuanian partners, the ability to respond quickly is of paramount importance. If Russia decides to expand further west, this is where the war will be fought, a fact Lithuanian soldiers are well aware of.
I think that it is very important because what just happening in the Ukraine, it makes us worry, and it is very important to know that we have friends, US and NATO partners who are ready to support us.
As Saber Strike begins to wind down, training at Fort Indiantown Gap starts to heat up. Soldiers from Lithuania's 5th Territorial Volunteers are finding that the US military tends to do things a little differently.
A clear shooting house with real ammo. So it's first my impression was, wow, no, we don't do that because regulations in our army are so strict. But you guys, don't worry, it's okay. We will train them, you will see. Yep. And after half day, they could do this with real ammo. So it's actually a great job of your instructors, of your soldiers.
By the time training is over, soldiers from both countries have formed friendships and bonds that will likely last for many years to come, as soldiers and officers from both units ascend the ranks in their chosen careers. While all of the 54 states and territories within the National Guard have state partnerships with foreign militaries, none seem to have reached the level of success this one has, which has become a source of pride among senior officials.
I think what really has made a big difference when they've asked for a demonstrative response, which is primarily boots on the ground at their exercises, especially the Saber strike exercise they do every year in the summer. 5 years in a row, we've had some type of boots on the ground. And using the Striker Brigade with their vehicles and the mobility they have, it's a clear demonstration that the United States Army has a very powerful force, a Striker Brigade, that can be deployed overseas on a relatively short notice.
I've never worked with a foreign military. This is the first opportunity I've actually gotten. It was an amazing experience. The Lithuanians have taught us so much, and I feel like we've taught them a lot and helped them to become a better unit.
At the end of their 10-day training, a small ceremony is held for the two units that have trained together. Both awards and personal gifts are exchanged. While wars are declared by politicians at the highest levels of government, it is men and women at this level who will be expected to fight them. These soldiers now have a better idea of who they will be fighting for.